Okay, hello friends. Welcome to our full moon in Cancer call. I'm really excited to dive into the chart. I'm going to be sharing the chart with you in just a moment. And there's so much going on in the chart right now. It's a really, really exciting time astrologically. If you've been following along with my updates, you'll know that we just entered into a pretty major shift in the astrological sort of cosmic cycles. So the nodes of the moon, which are two of the most significant placements in the chart, according to my work with astrology and evolutionary astrology, these two placements, they shift signs every 18 months. So these are larger cosmic cycles that we're working with, and the nodes have just shifted just 2 days ago into the archetypes of Cancer and Virgo, Pisces and Virgo. And so we're going to be talking a lot about the Pisces Virgo axis today and that nodal shift and what that means for all of us. We're also going to be talking about the Cancer Capricorn axis because that is the axis of our full moon. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share the chart with you all. Okay, so here we have our chart for the full moon in Cancer. Now, actually, before I even begin to talk about the chart of the full moon itself, I want to talk about what's going on with this nodal shift. So if you've been hanging around me for any amount of time, you know that the nodes are really, really important. And when we're looking at the transit chart, meaning the chart of the moment, we are looking at the collective planetary lessons and places for personal growth that we're all moving through. And the nodes within this transiting chart or the chart of the moment, they represent the places where we have the greatest soul work and evolution to do over the next 18 months. So these two placements, they are going to move signs every 18 months. And we go through a 1.5 year long journey of learning through these two archetypes. Now, ideally, by the end of any nodal journey, we're coming into a place where we have an integrated and balanced relationship to the highest expression of both archetypes, both where the South Node is and where the North Node is. And when we begin a nodal journey, we're really just beginning to embark on a new soul lesson as a collective. So how that soul lesson is going to show up for each individual person is going to be different, but we are all collectively working through the same themes around soul lessons. The way it's going to be differentiated for each individual person is going to be based on the houses in your chart. So if you don't know how to do this and you want to know how to do this, then you're going to need to pull up your chart. You're going to want to use the system of whole signs, and you're going to see that within each zodiac archetype around the outside of the circle, you're going to have a number in the center. This is for your personal chart. Whatever numbers you have next to Pisces in that pie piece and Virgo, that pie piece, those are going to be the two houses that are going to be kind of the two areas of life where you're going to be doing the deepest soul growth and work over the next 1.5 years. So it's something that you definitely want to look into in your own personal chart. And this is the chart of the moment. So we're not using this chart for that. You're going to need to use your own natal chart, your own birth chart in order to find out what those houses are. But regardless of what houses you have Pisces and Virgo in, you are going to be learning about the archetypes of Pisces and Virgo over the next 1.5 years. And this theme, it really filters in through all of the cosmic lessons, all of the astrological lessons that we're going to be going through over the next 1.5 years, because ultimately we are striving towards the highest expression of the North Node as a collective. And so wherever we're experiencing challenges or gifts or expansion within the chart over the next 1.5 years, the answer is always going to be in looking towards the North Node and the highest expression of the North Node, as well as looking at the shadows of the South Node and how we can clear karma and how we can clear our own personal version of the expression of those shadows. Yeah. So what does this all mean? So essentially, we're going to be looking at, for the next 1.5 years, as a collective, healing and releasing the shadow expression of the archetype of Virgo. Now, The axis of Virgo and Pisces is a really beautiful axis. When we have an integration of these two polarities, it's a really powerful kind of thing, because Pisces is the dreamer archetype. Pisces is the part of us that is transcending the material realm. Pisces is kind of that space in between physical incarnations. It's the space, it's the unseen realm, it's the mystical realm, it's the spiritual realm. And Pisces is our capacity to transcend matter. It's our capacity to transcend separation, to transcend limitation. And so with Pisces, we're able to dream really, really big, and we're able to call things into form from the ether, from the unmanifest kind of world. With Virgo, it's the opposite. Virgo is very much tuned in to the 3D reality. Virgo is an earth energy. So it's very much about the details and the fine print, and it's very much about our work and our service and becoming masterful in a skill, in a craft, that we can then use that skill or that craft through the study and the mastery of a lineage to be of service. And Virgo is also very much about the details in our lives. It's about our daily routines, the things that we do every single day to keep us healthy and well, the work that we do every single day, the way we show up to be of service. It's our daily structures. It's the daily sort of nitty-gritty things in our life that hold us together. And so the beautiful thing is that when Pisces and Virgo are working together, we have this, I really like to think of this axis as like a really powerful axis for manifestation, because we can dream beyond the limits of the material realm. And then we can use the planning and the detail and the organization of Virgo to create something in the material realm, to actually bring that dream, that vision that Pisces can hold into manifest form. So this is the highest expression of working with this Virgo Pisces axis. It's a really powerful energy to work with. But right now, because we have the South Node moving into Virgo, we are going to need to clear any distortions and any limitations and any shadow frequencies and any karma surrounding the wounded expression of the Virgo archetype. So what is that wounded expression? Well, for me, I think of this expression as really being rooted in control. And when we think of what control really is, it's when we're so zoomed in on our little nitty-gritty human experience, like our little personal reality, our ego's desires, and like these little details, that we think that we have control. And when we are in that illusion of control, we tend to experience most of the shadow kind of behaviors of Virgo, which include things like perfectionism, overthinking, anxiety, any like neurosis is a shadow of Virgo. It's really like we're too zoomed in on the fine print, and we're disconnected from spirit. We're disconnected from infinite potential. We're disconnected from Pisces energy, right? So this is when we can become really hypercritical, either of ourselves or others, and noticing that criticism, when it's directed outwardly, is typically just a mirror of self-criticism. So that critical energy can come up quite a bit with Virgo, but all of it is really coming back to the root of control. We're seeking to control material reality. We're seeking to control the details. We're seeking to control the plot. You know, if you've ever heard this joke, like, what's the best way to make God laugh is to make a plan. That is the epitome of the Pisces Virgo nodal shift. Like, Virgo is like, we got to plan it all out. We know we're in control. Like, it can be obsessive. It can be super detail oriented. It gets that anxiety, right? Like overthinking, obsession with the details. And it's very hyper focused on the plan and controlling the plan. And Pisces is the spiritual transcendence of like, whatever is happening is what's meant to be happening, and it's all good. It's all always good. Like everything's always fine. Even if it doesn't think, we don't think it's fine from our little mind, like our little ego perspective, it's actually everything's always happening the way that it's meant to be happening. So Pisces is the big picture. And so that perspective of like, what's the best way to make God laugh is to make a plan. That is the Pisces Virgo axis that we're working with right now. And the more stuck you are in that frequency of control, or wherever in your life you're stuck around that feeling of needing to control outcomes, needing to control details, needing to control how or where or when or why something happens, needing to control someone else's journey and the way that they are, needing to control your body, like all of those places where that frequency is coming in is where you're going to be shown that you are not in control, essentially. And that's where you're going to be receiving the greatest resistance. And the key to this is to really it's not to try to, whenever we're working with the nodes and we're struggling with one of the nodes, usually the south node, the thing that we tend to do is we tend to go deeper into the south node, thinking that that's where the answer is. So if we're getting stuck on control, we might try to overthink it. We might try to fix it with our minds. We might try to control it more. We might try to become more rigid, right? And like that's never going to be the solution to the south node trouble. The solution to the south node trouble is always found in the north node. And this is because the way I look at the chart in this format as a wheel is that whenever we're in sort of the balanced expression of any archetype, we're sort of floating around here. And when we go into the shadow of any archetype, it's like we're taking the beautiful qualities of that archetype and we're going too far. So we're starting to get outside of the circle, right? Can you guys see my mouse? Yeah. And so when I'm way out here, what's the thing that's going to bring me back? It's this. It's the thing on the other side of the chart that's going to start to pull me back into center, right? And so these polarities in the chart, they're always teaching us how to create wholeness within. Our soul journey throughout many lifetimes is about literally just experiencing life from every possible perspective so that we create an embodied experience of wholeness. And so these polarities in the chart, these different archetypes that just represent different aspects of human consciousness, that's the work whenever we're in the shadow of any archetype, is to look to its opposite. We can never solve the problems of Virgo with more Virgo energy. We can only solve the problems of Virgo with Pisces energy, and vice versa. We can solve the problems of Pisces with Virgo energy. In this case, we're most likely not going to be in the problems of Pisces because the North Node is there. If anything were to be showing up around the problems of Pisces, the shadow of Pisces is we take the beautiful qualities of Pisces of like everything's always good and it's always in perfect divine order and like there's nothing to fix. We take that just a little too far and we can have disillusionment, we can have like escapism, like sort of disassociating, leaving the body, like nothing's really real, right? And nothing, I mean, it's kind of this duality truth where nothing is really real and yet it also is at the same time. And the Pisces side is like, none of this really matters and nothing's really real. And the Virgo side is like, but it also is real. And so they have this kind of tension and duality between them. And so if we're finding that we're stepping into those shadow frequencies of Pisces, like escapism, substance abuse can be here, it can be addiction. It's sort of a escape from the material realm, like nothing's really even real. It can be loose boundaries, elusiveness, like just kind of being this wishy-washy. With Pisces, we can be really up in the astral and not grounded in the body. Any of those tendencies are going to be balanced by just kind of making a bit of a plan and like getting more into the body and like how are you being of service and what are you doing every single day to take care of yourself, right? Those Virgo qualities are going to balance that out. And so essentially, you're going to hear me talking about Pisces Virgo for the next year and a half in probably every single one of these calls, because this is the foundation of the chart, right? But just to give you an introduction of the work that we're really going to be doing here in this journey over the next year and a half, it's honestly really exciting. I think that it's going to be a time when a lot of souls are going to be going through a big spiritual awakening, because the North Node is in Pisces. And I think a lot of people are going to be waking up to the reality of the fact that there is something larger than our little nitty-gritty individual experience. A lot of souls who aren't currently holding that awareness are going to be waking up to that. A lot of us who are already on a spiritual path and are already doing this work are going to be deepening our relationship to spirit, healing our relationship to spirit. Any kind of wounds that we have in our relationship with the divine are going to be surfacing with this nodal axis, and really requiring us to work through and heal those. There's a lot of false programming that we have collectively through sort of dominant religion around our higher power or God or spirit being like punishing. And that can show up really subtly through like new age spirituality, through the idea of things like being tested, or the idea of like not like, why is this happening to me? Like, this is happening to me because like I didn't do my spiritual homework, and like God is punishing me. Like that little very subtle frequency of that can slip in, I think, to a lot of spiritual teachings, and we're going to need to clear all of that distortion over the next year and a half. But it's a really positive and expansive time. It's a time when I think, again, like I said, a lot of spiritual growth and development is going to be happening, and we are going to be learning the lesson as a collective of surrender. And when I say surrender, I think that there's a misconception around what that word means. And a lot of people hear the word surrender and think that it means passivity, think that it means giving up your personal will. And when I say surrender, what I really mean by that is that we actually don't have any personal will when we are in resistance to the current reality. We actually cannot affect change to our present circumstances when we're in direct resistance to our present circumstances, and when we're not accepting them exactly as they are. And so when I say surrender, what I really mean by that is that we are trusting that whatever is happening right now, whatever is true in this present moment, is correct. And it might be uncomfortable. Our ego might not like it. It might be deeply challenging for us. But if it's happening, if it is true in this moment, then it is what's meant to be happening. And when we can start from that place, that if it is true and it is happening, then it's what's meant to be happening, then we are surrendered to the truth of the moment, aka we're surrendered to the divine plan. And from that place, we actually have so much more power to create a shift in our reality. We actually can become co-creators with the divine when we're in surrender to the truth of the present moment. And so when I say surrender, I don't just mean do nothing, stay home, lay in bed, be passive. When I say surrender, what I mean is if it's already true, then it's correct. Then it's what's meant to be here. Then it's what's meant to be happening. And from that place, how we choose to move forward in alignment with that truth, in acceptance of that truth, even if it's deeply painful or deeply uncomfortable, is it actually gives us this capacity to begin to dream up a future reality and co-create that reality and bring it into manifest form through our action in the real world, through that Virgo aspect of the axis. So this is really the highest expression of the Pisces Virgo axis. This is what we're going to be working towards, is kind of really reclaiming our power as co-creators of reality, but also surrendering to the sort of divine will for reality at the same time. It's this beautiful dance of like, actually, when we surrender to the divine will is when we have the most power as co-creators. When we're in resistance to what's happening, when we're in resistance to current truth and reality, we actually can't do anything because we're not standing on our own two legs. Like we're standing on a reality that's not real. So that's the axis shift. And that is what we're moving into over the next year and a half. And what's really, really exciting about this nodal work that we're now doing is that the north node in the chart, as you can see, here's the north node at 29 degrees, is just 2 degrees away from Neptune at 27 degrees. These two are going to come into an exact conjunction, but they're going to be hanging out within a few degrees of each other for the next couple of months. And this is incredibly exciting because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So Neptune's been in Pisces for a long time, but Neptune's really, really strong in Pisces because it's the ruler of that sign. And with the North Node entering into Pisces and coming into conjunction with Neptune in Pisces, it's this beautiful opportunity for us to really tap in to that mystical, magical, powerful potential that Pisces has to dream things into being. And, you know, something that I really love about the Pisces archetype, I will call myself out, I am a Pisces sun, so I am a little biased here, but I love the Pisces archetype because there's this power of the dreamer of Pisces is really able to like hold the power, the positive expression of delusion in like a really powerful way. And what I mean by this is like, you know, something that I've been told many times in my life is like, that's crazy, like that's not possible, about many things that I've claimed that I will do or that I will create. And you know, my belief in what is possible is very expanded and is always expanding. But as like being able to access that Pisces archetype of infinite potential, like anything is possible because time and space are kind of not even real. Like you're accessing the quantum field with Pisces and especially with Neptune. Neptune is where time and space dissolve. There is no separation. There is no boundary when it comes to Neptune. Neptune is universal source love. It's like everything is one in the realm of Neptune. So Neptune is really the higher octave of Venus. It's the kind of spiritual transcendental love of like that oneness that we experience when we're connected to source in that way. And so with Pisces, it's that ability to really feel into infinite potential and anything is possible. And when we believe that to be true with every ounce of our being to the point of being delusional, quote unquote, guess what? We can actually create things that are quote unquote impossible because it's all a matter of our mindset ultimately. And Pisces is really able to come into that transcendence of the limitations of the mind, which Virgo is ruled by Mercury. It's very much about the mind, right? So when we can really have power over our own mind, this is another big teaching of this axis, is like wherever the mind is controlling you, you need to take your power back and realize that your mind is a tool, but it is not the ruler of your consciousness. And you need to kind of reconnect to that spiritual aspect of your consciousness to be the master over your mind. Like the Buddhists call it the monkey mind, you know, that when the mind is controlling you, you're going to be really in a place of fear and control and restriction and all of those things. When you control the mind, you realize that your thoughts are creating reality and you can create any reality you want through the power of belief. And like, I think it's so funny that this term like delulu has become really like popularized in the last like however long, because that's something that I've been saying for years to my clients. I'm always like, be delusional, be more delusional, like be more delusional in the belief of your dreams. Why the fuck not? Like, What are you afraid? You know, like the more delusional you can be about something really magical happening, the more power you have to create that thing. Why would you not want that? Like, why is that bad? You know? And so we can access that like higher octave of Neptune. Now, I do want to speak to the shadow octave of Neptune, which Neptune can be very confusing for the ego. So all of these outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, are, I've been really speaking to this a lot lately. These three outer planets are, they're not personal planets, meaning they're not really determining our human personal ego experience. They're really providing lessons from the divine, from a higher kind of octave and perspective. And so when we're working with these three outer planets, it can be really challenging for the individual person on a personality structure level. Neptune can really challenge our sense of identity, our sense of what's real, because ultimately in the realm of Neptune, it's like everything is real and nothing is real. You know, it's really an Alice in Wonderland kind of energy. Like everything's all interconnected in one. There's no separation. It's all an illusion, but it's also all real, and we're creating it with our mind. But it's like, and so when we try to tap into that as a separate person in a separate body going through this human experience, it can challenge us. Neptune can challenge us, and it can challenge us through the sort of the energy of deception. It can bring illusion. And so we do want to be mindful of that when we're working with Neptune. But what I would say with working with the North Node and Neptune together right now at this time, it's like it really is the potential for really, really big dreams, like your wildest dreams beyond, like beyond your wildest dreams coming into form. This is one of the ways that this signature can show up. Like, and the thing that's going to block you from that happening is your tendency to control. So wherever you're clinging, grasping, overthinking, trying to make it go the way that you in your limited mind perspective thinks it's supposed to go, that's where you're actually limiting that, like the universe's power to give you to fulfill your wildest dreams and beyond. And so this is really a trust energy. It's about trusting the divine plan. It's about surrendering to the divine plan. It's about being very clear on what you desire from an energetic signature. So what is it that you want to feel? What is the energy of what you desire? And this is a powerful moment for manifestation, like getting really, really clear on what you desire, but letting complete control over how, when, through who, why, in what timeline, what it's going to look like. All of that needs to go, because through your mind's desire to control those aspects of the process, you're actually putting blocks on what the universe can deliver to you. And when you let go of that and you work on preparing yourself, first, number one, claiming what it is that you desire, and second of all, preparing yourself to be able to receive what you desire and actually creating the space for it energetically in your daily life, in your daily routines in that Virgo realm, and in your frequency, through your frequency. When you're prepared to receive what it is that you are claiming that you desire, and when you're prepared to hold it in the material realm, and you let go of control of all the details, how, when, what timeline, what it looks like, all of that, magic and miracles are possible. Like, this is a really, 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 really exciting time. And I want you to all experience the magic of it, because it's really like, you know, like I've been working with this Pisces energy my whole life. And I love when there's powerful transits like this through Pisces, because it's just like, I've seen it time and time again, how magical things can be when we work with this archetype, and how the universe is going to be able to deliver you things, magic, miracles, dreams, manifestations in ways that are beyond what your mind could even imagine, like beyond the way you could even begin to imagine it could look. And so your work is to let go of the overthinking of how it's going to look, because the more you do that with your mind, the more you're letting your mind control your spirit, and you're actually blocking the universe from being able to deliver you that in the way that it wants to, in the way that is most smooth and most aligned with your highest expression. And so your work, that's our work. That's our work. That's our work for the next year and a half. And it's going to be a fun one. I'm excited for it. I'm thrilled that we're finished with Libra and Aries axis. I think that axis was really, it was a deep healing around relationships for the past year and a half. So many karmic relationships and karmic relationship patterns have been cleared and transmuted on a collective level. So much codependency programming has been cleared, and we needed to go through that. But now we're stepping into this new frequency of these new nodes, and I'm really, really excited for it. So any questions about that, you can feel free to drop them in the chat. And I'm going to move into talking about the full moon. So first and foremost, we have a full moon in Cancer. I love a full moon in Cancer. I also have the moon in Cancer, so I'm biased. But the moon is the ruler of Cancer. And so the moon is really strong when she's in Cancer. And Cancer is the archetype in the zodiac wheel that deals with our emotions. This is the place in our evolutionary journey where our work is to learn how to feel it all. Our work is to learn how to be with the full spectrum of our emotions and to create internal safety with the experience of our full spectrum emotions. And so that is the work of Cancer. And when we have a full moon in general, emotions are high. The moon is at her peak and the moon rules over our emotions. And so the full moon in Cancer, this is a time when a lot of emotions can surface. And depending on where we're at with the mastery that we've built around our capacity to contain our emotions and our capacity to hold ourselves in a sense of nurturance and safety within the full spectrum of our emotions, wherever we're at in that journey, we're going to be coming face to face with it under a full moon in Cancer. And because it's a full moon, we're working with the Cancer Capricorn axis, because anytime we have the moon in full, we have it in exact opposition to the sun. And so the sun is in Capricorn currently. So we have this axis with Cancer and Capricorn. Now, the beautiful harmony between the Cancer and Capricorn archetypes is that Cancer is here to feel things fully and to create a deep sense of emotional safety. And Capricorn is here to hold the space. Capricorn is the responsibility, it's the containment, it's the structure, it's the boundaries, it's the also the capacity to, like, how do I want to say this? It's the capacity to regulate and manage our emotions so they don't take over and we can still accomplish and achieve our goals. And so where Capricorn can become hyper rigid or so focused on the next achievement, so focused on the next goal, and disconnected from the beauty of the spectrum of the emotional expression of life, Cancer brings in the softness and reminds Capricorn to feel and reminds Capricorn to slow down enough to feel. But where Cancer can get lost in the emotions of the ocean, because Cancer is the moon, it's the changing tides, it's the ocean, it's this sort of constant fluctuation of the feminine, of the emotional being. Capricorn holds the structure and the responsibility and the sovereignty to be masterful with our emotions. And so wherever you're at in that journey of integrating those two archetypes, that's going to be showing up for you right now under this full moon. Whatever aspect of your emotional experience has been repressed or has been like you haven't allowed yourself to look at is going to come to the surface. There's definitely the potential for some shadow of Cancer to be revealed right now, which would be the martyr archetype. So over caretaking, not having any clear boundaries, codependency, but like emotional codependency. So taking responsibility for other people's emotions. All of those qualities can be revealed right now. And the resentment that comes when we don't have boundaries and we let people walk all over us and we take responsibility for other people's emotions, that kind of wounded mother archetype. Cancer is the archetype of the mother. Capricorn is the archetype of the father. And so those wounds can be surfacing right now as well. Cancer also connects us to our family lineage. And so there can be familial wounds surfacing right now. There can be, you know, family of origin, all of that stuff can be coming to the surface. At the same time, it's an opportunity, depending on, again, where you're at in your work around those two archetypes. It's a time when a really beautiful expression of the Cancer archetype can be coming in, which is this this energy of nurturance and this energy of being a caretaker, but from a place of sovereignty, from a place of being nourished, from a place of having your own cup being full and giving and, you know, sharing, nurturing energy with others from a place of overflow rather than from a place of depletion and lacking boundaries. So stepping into, like, that's definitely something that I've been feeling a lot with this full moon, is like I've been really feeling, I have a lot of strong Cancer in my chart, and I've been really feeling into that higher octave of Cancer of like, I really want to nurture both myself and others, and I'm feeling really resourced to be able to do that. And it's really bringing online this very like mothering, nurturing energy within me. Think of like kind of the Empress archetype in the tarot. And so we have this beautiful full moon. It's bringing all of the emotions to the surface, and then simultaneously we want to look at who's the moon talking to in this chart, right? What aspects is the moon making to other placements in the chart? So first and foremost, the moon is in conjunction with Mars in retrograde in Cancer. This is a beautiful signature. So we have Mars in retrograde. This is a longer retrograde. It's about 2 months long. And Mars is going to be retrograde in Cancer until February 23rd. And Mars is the planet that teaches us about action and motivation and will, and the ways in which we pursue our desires, the ways in which we actually, on a personal, individual level, go after the things that we on a subconscious level want. And so Mars energy tends to be, this is kind of the expression of our own inner masculine energy. And with Mars in retrograde, we're being invited to reconsider the ways we express Mars energy, meaning we're being invited to rethink the ways we pursue our desires, the ways we go after the things that we want, the ways we take action, the ways that we chase, the ways that we fight, the ways that we pursue, push, and go after our objectives. And I think collectively at this point in human history, we have a lot of wounding around that. Both men and women have a lot of conditioning around what it means to go after our desires. And the conditioning is very much sort of a toxic expression of masculine energy. Masculine energy is, you know, a beautiful energy in its purest form. But I think collectively we have this conditioning that the ways we should express masculine energy should be to push beyond our limits and to rush and to force and to hustle, like all of that energy that causes us to ignore our bodies, ignore our emotions, ignore our needs, ignore our internal sense of safety and our internal well-being, to push, go faster. That is the expression of Mars that we kind of have conditioning around. And Mars being in retrograde, we're being invited to reconsider that and to reflect on that and to reimagine that, especially with it being in Cancer. We're being pushed to recognize the emotional and spiritual cost of pushing and forcing beyond our body's limits, the cost to our well-being, the cost to our internal connection to self, the cost to our body. Like, we need to reintegrate a way of moving forward and a way of momentum and a way of pursuing our desires that does not come at the cost of our well-being, of our body, of our expression of our emotions, and of our intuition. And that's what this Mars retrograde in Cancer is really teaching us, is that we need to slow all the fucking way down so that we can feel everything that we've not been feeling. And when we do that, we actually learn that we can move and act and pursue and go after the things that we desire in a much more authentic and integrated way that's in integrity with those softer aspects of our being. And actually, when we do this, we're much more effective. And any retrograde in general is going to slow the energy down so that we can get into deeper alignment. And then when we move forward, we can be moving forward with greater clarity, right? And more alignment means more speed, means more efficiency. When we're going really fast, but we're a couple degrees off, it's going to take us a lot longer in the long run, right? And so we're being asked to really slow down on our action right now. It's so much of this chart is like, it's really not about what you're doing. It's not about the action you're taking. It's about the energy behind the action you're taking. It's about who you're being when you're taking that action. It's not about the things that you say or the things that you do. It's about the frequency that you're holding when you're saying and doing them. And actually, I think that's really the higher message of this Mars retrograde in Cancer, is for us to reflect on and refine our sort of external movements and our drive in a way that it is in integrity with our energetic being and with our emotional being and with our intuitive being. And when we do that, we actually need to do less. Like the level of effort that we're going to have to put forth through our actions is going to be far less effort, because we're working in flow rather than working in resistance. Yeah. So that's really coming up around this full moon, and it's in conjunction with this full moon. So there may be emotions for some of us to process around, like grief or pain or sadness around, or just like more challenging emotions around the impact of if we've been pushing and forcing for a long time and taking action without really considering our emotional well-being and without really being in alignment with our intuition, the cost of that is going to be revealed. And there needs to be sort of an emotional purging of that energy for us to move forward. This full moon is also making a beautiful sextile to Uranus, almost exact. So Uranus is, again, an outer planet. It's bringing that sort of big picture spiritual perspective, and it's bringing something unexpected into the field. It's like, again, when we can let go of control, magic and miracles can happen. We can really tap into a new timeline. We can really tap into a new potential, a new possibility that's beyond your mind's wildest dreams of what's possible. And Uranus brings that kind of shocking disruption, revolutionary sort of energy to the chart, which I think is really helpful. Like, we need to revolutionize the way that we're taking action in our world. We need to revolutionize the way that we're pursuing that Mars energy. And we need to revolutionize it in a way that allows for there to be space for us to create emotional safety and actually take action. Can you imagine, like, if everyone in the planet was emotionally resourced and felt safe within the full spectrum of their emotions, like, do you think that there would be war? You know, like, and Mars is the god of war. So it's really like the possibility within that shift of how we express that Mars energy, it is revolutionary. And Uranus is bringing that influence into the chart. And then we have the moon in a trine aspect to this North Node and Neptune conjunction, which I was already speaking to. So again, that potential, that possibility, that frequency of dreaming, that frequency of what if anything was possible? What if I wasn't limited by the way that I saw things going in the past? And what if I wasn't in resistance to the truth of the present moment? What could be possible from that place? So yeah, a really exciting full moon chart. I'm loving this chart. I think it's a really positive time. I think that's where I'm gonna leave us off. So again, my invitation for you and anyone who's watching this on the recording is that really what we want to be doing at this time is really taking conscious awareness of where we're in that frequency of control, where we are trying to manipulate timelines based on what our mind thinks we're supposed to be doing and based on a very small and limited perspective that's too zoomed in. And how can we zoom out and see the big picture and trust? And like, it's really this trust fall energy, but it's like understanding that when we access that trust fall energy, we are also opening up the possibility to access limitless potential. And coming back to the Cancer Capricorn axis, it's like having the strength and the courage and the containment and the self-responsibility to be able to feel everything that brings up, right? So where Pisces is like, Pisces is transcendent, like Pisces not really, it can be emotional, but it's not really like getting lost in the emotions in the way that Cancer is. And where the North Node is like, okay, anything's possible, so we can tap into that infinite timeline and surrender and trust. With the full moon in Cancer, we're being asked to grieve and process any and all of the emotions that process of surrender requires us to face within ourselves as the human aspect of us that's like dealing with that full spectrum of emotion. So that's my invitation for you on this full moon, and I hope you enjoyed the reading.